With great pleasure, we welcome back to the show. Joining us now, former Vice President Mike Pence, who, by the way, has a new book coming out, So Help Me God, coming out November 15th. Mr. Vice President, welcome back, sir. Always a treat.
Larry Kudlow, great to be with you. 13 days from a great American comeback. We're going to win back the House, win back the Senate, and I think we're going to elect more than 32 Republican governors all across this country. So wow. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you. 32, I like that number. So I was reading your recent speech to the Young America's Foundation. It was a great speech, Mike. I'm just going to quote real quick. Our borders are under siege, our currency has been devalued, our energy independence has been squandered, and our booming economy is being brought to a screeching halt by big government socialism. Okay, spot on as always. I've always said you're a good economist. Question is, will the GOP be up to the task? They will be facing a crisis, Mike. Whatever, January 3rd, whenever they take over, if they get both houses and so forth. Do you like what you see? Do you like what you hear? Because I think the legislative agenda, you know, the strategy and tactics is going to be vitally important, and they're not going to have a lot of time because we're going to have high inflation and recession simultaneously. What do you make of it?
Larry, I have every confidence that the new Republican majorities in the House and the Senate are going to provide the necessary opposition to Biden administration's failed policies at home and abroad. They're going to provide real accountability. But what I'm most excited about is I think you're going to see Republicans in the House and Senate bring forward that positive conservative agenda that's animated our movement from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump. They're going to bring forward policies to rebuild our military at a time when we're flatlining military spending. I think you're going to see them push back on the tax increases and runaway spending under this administration. I'm here in Houston today. I think you're going to see Republicans make a full court press to demand that this administration open up federal lands to more leases, more energy exploration to achieve a pathway to energy independence. And, of course, I think you're going to see the administration find some real firm opposition in the Senate when it comes to more of these liberal appointees to our courts and to various agencies around the country. So I'm very, very bullish on the leadership in the House and Senate. I think they're going to be ready for the fight. And I think in the next 2 years, you're going to see them not only provide that loyal opposition, but they're going to cast a vision for America to return our country back to the security and prosperity of the Trump-Pence years.
You know, you're down in Houston. I mean, I think it's been suggested, and I think there's a lot of sense here, Mike, that maybe the very first thing they could do, and perhaps get around the veto pen. I don't know everything there is to know. You were presiding over the Senate. But the fact is, we need to increase oil and gas production. We need to do it because we need more oil and gas production. That would bring down prices, which would help households and wages and so forth. We also need to do it because it affects every element of ordinary everyday life. We've been talking about that, how hundreds of things in our life depend on oil and gas and fossil fuels, and the Democrats just ignore it. I mean, is there a way, like, to get, you mentioned leasing. How about permitting? How about pipelining? Is there a way to jam that through? Because that, to me, would be a stagflation solution, Mike Pence.
I really believe, you know, the only thing harder than following Larry Kudlow on the economy is following Larry Kudlow and Art Laffer, just for the record. But I'll take your word for it. Look, it's the reason why we're having a summit with energy leaders from around the country here in Houston today through our foundation, American Freedom. And that is that inflation's at a 40-year high. There's a lot of reasons for that. Runaway federal spending is chief among them in Washington, D.C., but there's no question that the fact that energy prices, gasoline prices are up 60% from what they were the day that we left office is a driving factor. I hear it from families in Indiana. I talked to a woman the other day with 2 little kids in the back seat who said that she and her husband were having to go to the local food bank because their grocery budget is where their gasoline is paid out of, and they can't afford to keep food on the table and keep gas in the car. So I think this should be job one for the new Republican majorities in the House and the Senate. I think they should use the power of the purse to demand the kind of regulatory changes new permitting, new leasing on federal land, open the Alaska National Wildlife Region back up for exploration. And to your point, Larry, let's get back to authorizing the kind of infrastructure that will allow for us to develop pipelines and to be able to become the energy dominant country in the world that we were. There's one small thing I think they could do that would send the message that the war on energy is over, and that is they could end the Select Committee on Climate Crisis that Nancy Pelosi actually created back in 2007. I was in the Congress back then, Larry. I voted against it, but for some reason it survived even after we won back the majority from Pelosi. She's continued it. It's not a select committee on climate crisis. It's a select committee in support of the war on American energy. And when this new Congress reorganizes, I'm calling on them, as I did here in Houston today, I'm calling on the new Republican Congress to shut down that select committee. It'll send a deafening message that the war on American energy is over, and we have pro-American energy majorities in the Congress once again.
Boy, I didn't even know about that one. You got me, sir. I mean, yes, by all means, shut it down. But you know what else? Littered throughout the government, they've set up these diversity boards, diversity, equity, inclusion, or ESG boards. This stuff isn't even appropriated, Mike. They're just setting it up. It's proliferating. Even the Federal Reserve's got one, the SEC's got one, the FTC's got one, the energy departments, they all got them. This stuff has never been legislated. This stuff has never been authorized, and it creates a bias, right? It creates a bias against all growth, whether it's tax cuts or deregulation or energy. I mean, can't we get rid of that nonsense?
Well, I wrote a piece back in the spring in the Wall Street Journal calling on states around the country to adopt model legislation that ALEC had developed to push back on ESG coming out of those three big investment houses in New York City. And many states have been doing that, and I really celebrate that, including here in the state of Texas and around the country. But in the energy sector, people deserve to know the SEC is using ESG, this liberal agenda, particularly on environment, to affect the availability of finances in the energy industry. Look, when you see gasoline prices rising, that's not the unintended consequences of the Biden administration. That is the intended outcome of President Biden, who said he was going to end fossil fuels in America. I mean, the radical left is in the saddle in Washington, D.C. Help is on the way. 13 days, we're going to have pro-American energy majorities in the House and the Senate, and pushing back on ESG, particularly at the SEC and other federal agencies, has got to be of paramount importance. And remember, I was in the Congress for 12 years, Larry. The Congress has the power of the purse. I think we'll have the House and the Senate. We'll have a lot of Republican governors, maybe more than any since the Great Depression. And when that happens, we're going to be able to leverage all of that leadership and demand the Biden administration back off on burdening American families with higher energy costs.
I mean, it's this whole thing there, just setting up these like alternative governments inside these agencies. With these diversity boards.
True.
And they're not doing the job they're supposed to do. Nobody said. One other thing, in your Young America's Foundation speech, you mentioned reciprocal trade deals. I was very pleased to see that. No one's talking about trade. We can do trade deals. The Trump-Pence administration, we did trade deals with we had, deals with Japan, deals with South Korea. We had a deal with China. Maybe or maybe not that's going to work. You can do it. You can improve the free trade atmosphere as long as it's reciprocal. I think that's a pro-growth measure too, Mike Pence.
I do too. There's simply no question that less taxes, less regulation, unleashing American energy, and expanding markets overseas through free and fair trade is absolutely essential. I think you're going to see these new Republican majorities driving that. And as we begin a debate, as we all know, early next year over the future of the Republican Party, I promise you, Larry, I'm going to be a voice for all of those policies. And I truly do believe the Trump-Pence administration proved you can put American jobs, American workers first, and you can still negotiate new trade deals, as you said, with South Korea. You can start it with Japan and the UK. And, of course, you can see the passage and the adoption of the largest trade deal in American history, the USMCA, that is creating jobs and opportunities even in these challenging times. So trade means jobs, but it's when it's free and when it's fair.
Yes, sir. Last one, Mike. You've got this new book coming out. It's a subject that's dear to my heart. You know this. I talked about it in one of the Sunday shows. How can we have a country, a great country, with the soul of America, when you have these far-left progressives who will not allow God into the conversation, who will not allow religion into the conversation, not just the conversation, the schools, the communities, workplace. I mean, no one is allowed to talk about the 10 Commandments or the importance of moral values that are part of religion. I'm not even saying which religion, I'm just saying freedom of religion. How can we have a truly great nation? These lefties want to scrap religion, Mike Pence, and I think it's a terrible mistake.
Right. Well, the radical left believes the freedom of religion is the freedom from religion. But it's nothing the American founders ever thought of or generations of Americans fought to defend. You know, I said today here in Houston that the source of our nation's greatness has always been our faith in God, our freedom, and our vast natural resources. And the good news is that after 4 years of the Trump-Pence administration, I'm confident that we have a pro-religious freedom majority on the Supreme Court of the United States. And I'm confident that come Election Day, November the 8th, you're going to see that freedom majority around the country turn out and vote pro-freedom majorities in the House and in the Senate and in state houses around the country. So stay tuned, Larry. Help is on the way.
Help is on the way, yes, sir. You know I love that. Vice President Mike Pence, thank you, sir. It's great to see you again.